The American Southeast includes East Texas, a land filled with thickets, forests, rivers, and bayous. It is very different from the arid American Southwest. Here, subtropical climate brings frequent rains and warm climate. These make farming and ranching easier. For this reason, East Texas and the areas around it became home to many native cultures. One of those cultures was the tribes of the Caddo Confederacy. The people of the Caddo were key to the history of Texas. The Caddo Confederacy was not a single tribe. It was a group of many tribes. Each tribe of the Caddo had their own customs, but they all spoke the same language. The lands of the Caddo went along rivers and streams in many states. These states include Texas, Oklahoma, Louisiana, and Arkansas. The Caddo chose to settle in the area because of the land and the rivers. The rivers were filled with fish to eat. The river water also carried silt that made the fields good for farming. The Hasinai was one of the main Caddo tribes. They made their home between the Sabine and Trinity rivers in East Texas. They were known for their friendly nature. In fact, the Hasinai were referred to by early Spanish explorers as the Tejas. This was a Caddo word meaning friend. The term would later be used as the name for the entire state of Texas. It was also chosen as the Texas state motto in 1930. The Caddo-Hadacho tribe lived further north. They lived along the Red River. They used the river not only to fish and to water crops, but also to connect them to other tribes. Caddo-Hadacho built large earthen mounds. These mounds can still be seen today. Historians know that these mounds were crucial to the earliest Caddo, yet we still don't know for sure why they were built. In northwest Louisiana, across the Sabine River, lived the Natchitoches tribe. They traded with their closest neighbors, the French settlers of Louisiana. Because of this, they were among the first of the Caddo to adopt parts of European culture. They traded for European goods like metal tools, clothing, and food, which became part of their daily lives. Like the Jumano of southwest Texas, the Caddo were known for their vast trading networks. Unsurprisingly, they had close ties with the Jumano. The Jumano often carried Caddo goods to far-off places. Because of the richness of their lands, the Caddo tribes often had a surplus of crops. These extra crops were used by the Caddo to trade with others. Another much sought-after Caddo item was pottery. Historians today believe Caddo pottery to be among the finest in North America at the time. The Caddo even traded salt, which they made by boiling the salty water of the bayous. Between their surplus crops, pottery, and rare salt, the Caddo had many trade partners. The Caddo were deeply tied to the land that gave them so much. They grew corn, beans, and squash. These three crops were usually grown together by native cultures. The plants supported each other. Corn stalks gave a structure for bean plants to climb. Bean plants added special nutrients to the soil. Squash spread out low and thick on the ground and blocked weeds. The plants relied on each other so much that native cultures called them three sisters. This way of planting was common among Native American tribes. You might remember learning about this system of agriculture before in Lesson 8. The Caddo were smart farmers, planting two types of corn throughout the year. That way, they were able to count on having food for their families even if one harvest went bad. The land gave the Caddo other things they needed too, like materials for their homes. Those homes looked like a beehive. They were made from wood and grass. Their clothing was sometimes made from plant fibers that were woven together. They made fringed skirts. They also added beads to their shirts. Careful hunters, they cloaked themselves in deerskins to provide camouflage while hunting. The Caddo cultures were also shaped by the coming of other settlers. These settlers came from places like Spain, France, and the United States. The Caddo eventually settled in Oklahoma. Today, their descendants live in many places across the American Southeast. Many devote time to keeping the cultural heritage of the Caddo alive. Places like Caddo Mounds State Historic Site and the Gahagan Mounds Site have become landmarks in Texas. People can visit these places and see the mounds of the Caddo-Hadacho. They can also see replicas of the Caddo's famous beehive houses. Caddo Culture Day is celebrated each fall in Alto, Texas, near the Caddo Mounds State Historic Site. On that day, visitors can take part in a celebration of Caddo heritage. They can also learn about the tribe's history. The Caddo Confederacy left a strong legacy on the land, culture, and people of Texas. Through their stories and artifacts, we can still learn about these people.